Hey, can you get off your phone for 2 seconds, please? We're about to go live. Thanks. Thanks a bunch. Quiet on the set. For the love of God, everybody, quiet on the fucking set. Smackdown, June 19th, 2018. Booked. Played out. Now we're gonna talk about it. And action! Well, shit, before we even get to Smackdown, I think we gotta address the elephant in the room. The elephant being a 7-foot-tall motherfucker named Big Cass. Because that son of a bitch was released yesterday by WWE before Smackdown even hit the airwaves. And when I say released, I use that in quotes because this was a firing of epic proportions, right? This is a firing. This is not just, oh, we've come to terms with the release. There's no coming to terms here. There was no wishing Big Cass well on his future endeavors, if you've noticed. This was just, Big Cass has been released. That's all WWE said. So you know that he done fucked up in a major way. And from what we're hearing, guys, is that it's a plethora of reasons. It's not just one reason. It's a plethora. This guy, I didn't even know this. I knew there was some conduct issues, but I didn't know it was that bad. This guy was almost up there with Enzo Amore heat backstage. Enzo Amore is the only other guy I can think of in recent memory that had that much heat. I mean, the Miz heat was different. They just like to fuck around with the Miz. He did a couple of things he didn't even know he was doing wrong. Enzo Amore had real fucking heat backstage. Apparently, Big Cass had heat like that. And that's huge. I didn't even know all these issues until just reading and hearing a lot about it within the last 12 hours. But Big Cass, gone, man. Wham. Just like that, I'm watching this guy kick off a big pay-per-view. Money in the Bank with Daniel Bryan. And in the blink of an eye, he's gone. And it's a shame because being a creative mind like I am, man, and just being a creator, and how I love to book these shows, these events, how I book these characters going forward, I could have done so much with Big Cass. I know a lot of you guys weren't on board yet. His booking wasn't quite there. He needs to get a little better on the mic, although I was proud he hits his bullet points. Really good, and he can draw it out. He's got to know when to pause, play to the crowd. There was still a lot more room for improvement. But what I saw Sunday against Daniel Bryan, one of the best wrestlers in this fucking world, is he hung with Daniel Bryan. He matched his movesets to the point where he didn't make Daniel Bryan look like an idiot. He didn't have to slow down the pace and bring Daniel Bryan's performance down. Daniel Bryan put up a performance the best way he could with Big Cass, and Big Cass held his own. I liked what I saw with Cass. I can work with that. And if he dumbs down the nerdiness of this new heel persona a little bit, doesn't make it as cheesy, as corny, I could work with Big Cass. So hearing that Cass got released, fired yesterday, was not just shocking to me, again, because he was just at Money in the Bank kicking that son of a bitch off, but it kind of sucks, actually, for me, because I know what I could have done with Big Cass as a performer, as a character. If I was booking him, if I was writing him, you could have done a lot of epic shit with Big Cass in the future. He wasn't totally connecting with the fan base yet. Yet is the key word. But good things could have went on with Big Cass, man, and that was a shock to me, man. And I'm like, no, anyone but Big fucking Cass, man. That's somebody I can work with. But then you take a step back and you hear about all his issues stemming from, what was it, over a month ago, before Backlash, actually. Remember the little person Daniel Bryan, where Cass was only supposed to big boot him? And apparently he took some extra shots on him. And Vince McMahon, among others, backstage told him, do not do anything else rather than a big boot. And Big Cass fought for doing more, and Vince McMahon said, I said no. So Cass goes out there, and he big booted him, and then he proceeded to throw in more bows, and this really pissed off Vince McMahon. But they gave him more chances, apparently. But then comes there was an airplane incident, and there was a bus incident In one of those incidents, he was in a bathroom. The lock was apparently broken, so he was kind of locked in there. He thought he was being pranked, so he kicked the door open. So for the rest of either the flight or the bus ride, whichever one of the two it was, everyone who had to go to the bathroom now had a broken lock, where apparently it just gets jammed. It was broke, so it got jammed, and all Cass had to do was kind of like fiddle with it a little bit. But instead, he fucking bust this thing open, trying to be a fucking hard ass to everybody as well. Then comes, was it Simon Dean who told the story on Facebook that there was a certain former superstar, possibly legend, he didn't use the word, but former big-time superstar, I'm guessing it was a legend of some sort. He was backstage at a Raw several weeks ago, and Big Cass kind of big-dogged him, kind of strong-armed him out of the locker room, and tried to play big in front of the boys. You can't do that shit. Simon Dean went on to say that I hope this certain person sees Big Cass on the independents so they can get their receipt. And they, get some revenge anyway, because you can't really do too much. Big Cass is in his locker room, the WWE locker room, with his people now. But on the indies, it's fair game. You treated me like shit in your house. Now you're in my fucking house. And he did go out of his way to say, I hope this individual sees him on the indies. So maybe it wasn't a legend then. Maybe it's somebody who's still rocking and rolling who used to be with WWE. So I apologize. It's probably why he didn't use the word legend. But some former superstar, Big Cass, was strong-arming him and big bullied him out of the locker room. Then comes the European Tour incident, where several superstars went on record and said that he was drinking most of the time on that European Tour and in public, which is something that WWE does frown upon and tries to make you not do, if at all possible. Don't be drunk in public. So these are all things that Big Cass was doing. But there has to be another big thing that we don't know. I mean, that's a lot right there. That's a lot from somebody who's fairly still new in this business and is not yet over with the crowd. That's a lot of bullshit and shenanigans that you have to put up with from a 7-foot motherfucker. But I'm sure Vince put up with it because he's a 7-foot motherfucker. But there has to be something we don't know yet. This video is going out really early on a Tuesday morning, guys. Wednesday morning, I'm sorry. So there's probably going to be more coming to light throughout the day, maybe throughout the week. But before I made this video, I made it a point to check Colin Cassidy's fucking, is that his fucking real name, right? His Twitter account. Because I don't think it's under Big Cass. It's like Colin Cassidy, I believe is his name. And he still has WWE Superstar. His last tweet was a couple of days ago, so he's not releasing anything. Who did release a tweet was Enzo Amore. And he just, about maybe an hour after Big Cass got fired, Enzo tweeted out, "How you doing?" with a question mark. That's it. So very cryptic, but I think we all know that's directed toward Big Cass. There's no love lost between the two. In real life, they had a falling out. This was on TV, actually. This was when Big Cass had his, an ACL injury? When Big Cass tore his ACL, Enzo got really pissed because Enzo thought he should have finished that match. Because Enzo was in the match with him, and he felt that was not the way to go out. So Enzo went backstage, and Enzo flipped out on Big Cass. They haven't spoken since. That's real life shit, guys. So a year now, at least, they have not spoken. And so that was a falling out. And then he just tweets out an hour after his firing, "How you doing?" So I don't know if that's a dig to Big Cass. Like, yeah, fuck you. Now you know how it feels. How you doing now? Or is that like a reaching out? Like, how you doing? Question mark. Like a fucking call me. Who knows? It's just fucking insane. If you watched NXT a couple of years ago, guys, and you remember Big Cass and Enzo as the hottest tag team, and you just knew when they got to WWE, they were going to be multi-time tag team champions. And one day down the line, Carmella will join them, maybe, the originators of that tag team. Because Carmella used to be with them in NXT. And now you look at them, just a couple years, if even, after their debuts on the main roster, Enzo Amore fired. Big Cass is fired. Carmella, raise your hand if you're the only one out of the three left in WWE, because Carmella is going to raise her hand. She's not only in WWE, she is thriving as champion of this world over on SmackDown. She's the only one left. Enzo and Big Cass, man, if you would have told me 2 years ago they'd be out of WWE completely, I would have said you've done lost your marbles, man. You're talking nonsense. You're talking bullshit. Stay in your lane, know what you're talking about. No, it would be true if you were to say that to me now, because they're gone, man. Enzo's gone, Big Cass is gone, and Carmella is thriving. What a crazy wrestling world we live in. Because that's all fucking truth now. That's all I know on Big Cass, man. I told you guys a bunch of reasons. I still think there's one more big reason. That's crazy, man, because they were just giving him storylines with Daniel Bryan for the past couple of months. You thought something was going to happen with him going forward. I'm not going to harp on it until we find out more. Hopefully for Amplified Q&A, maybe I'll have more for tomorrow's video. But that's it. Let's get into SmackDown now, guys. And for those of you going, oh, get the SmackDown sooner, BC. Well, he was a part of fucking SmackDown, guys. A big 7-foot fucking part of SmackDown. So you're damn right we're going to talk about that first. And again, he was not future endeavored. So I know something went down. We just got to find out. Now, on to SmackDown. This was a pretty fucking awkward show aside from the gauntlet match. The gauntlet match stole the show, thankfully. This 35-minute performance by 5 superstars. This was SmackDown, right? Because everything else, before I get to that main event, can I just run over some shit? You had Carmella. None of this really was over-the-top entertaining to me. Definitely not one of the best SmackDowns that I've seen in a long time. Not at all. The gauntlet match is what really fucking entertained. But before I get to that, Carmella started this show. She went out there and she was just doing her Carmella, right? Bragging and talking about how she's the best, how she defeated Charlotte Flair twice. She defeated Asuka. She would defeat, well, first of all, Ellsworth comes down as Asuka, right? Dressed up as Asuka. Ellsworth gets on the mic and reiterates everything Carmella just said. You're better than Charlotte. You're better than Asuka. You're better than Ronda Rousey. You're better than Lita. You're better than Trish. You're better than Mother Teresa, I think he said. You're better than fucking ramen noodles, he could have said. And we're all like, oh, wrap this up, will you? Because nothing's better than ramen noodles. They're 33 cents and they cook in 3 minutes. But according to Ellsworth, Carmella's better than fucking gold. So, all right. So you go on to Asuka actually showing up, because Asuka's pissed now, right? You got 2 people mocking not only her, but now claiming they're the best thing since sliced bread. All right, so here comes Asuka. Asuka's trying to get to Carmella, but James Ellsworth steps in front of Carmella. What, is Ellsworth going to take on a woman? But luckily, Asuka's no normal woman. Asuka goes, yeah, boom, spinning wheelhouse kick right into his fucking midsection, right? Not actual midsection, maybe his fucking stomach region. How's that? And Ellsworth drops like a ton of bricks. And before Asuka can turn her attention to Carmella, Carmella's already waiting with a super kick to the chin of her own. So Asuka takes out Ellsworth, but Carmella takes out Asuka. And then Carmella picks up Ellsworth and pretty much chucks him out of the ring. And so you know that Carmella is still running this relationship between her and Ellsworth. And Asuka is able to get to the bottom rope and just peek her face out from the bottom rope with a little smile on her face. Like, I'll get you, bitch. But this is obvious that this is not over. And at Extreme Rules, you're going to see the continuation. The thing is, I don't see Vince McMahon giving that strap to Asuka. At Extreme Rules, I don't. Based on what we've seen from Shinsuke Nakamura and Asuka so far, he's not putting those straps on any of these Japanese talents. I have no idea. Not saying he's got anything against Japan, but he's not giving these motherfuckers any straps. But it does look like it's going to lead to Extreme Rules. Man, if you're gonna make Asuka look like a joke or lose again, I don't know if I want to see this. But time will tell, and we'll all have to see. That's why they put on the shows. But that was a continuation, it looks like, between Carmella and Asuka. And this led right into, because you had a lot of mic time with Carmella pretty much annoying the crowd. And then Ellsworth gets on the mic and he annoys the crowd. And there's no match yet when the IKonics come out. Now the IKonics cut another promo bashing Becky Lynch because Billie Kay is about to take on Becky Lynch. But my thing is this, if you just had Carmella go on for 5 to 7 fucking minutes straight, bragging and annoying the crowd, do you want the IKonics to go out there now and annoy the crowd? It's, you know what I mean? I think you have to separate it a little bit. If Carmella's in one segment, maybe 3 segments later, bring out the IKonics and have them cut a promo. Way too soon, back to back with no actual in-ring action as far as competition. So I think that's why the crowd was totally out of this, man. They were checked out. You guys go back and watch the IKonics promo. Not only was it really bad, but the crowd did not know what to think. I don't know if they could understand them. The crowd, everybody, I'm talking everybody. Watch this promo, guys, this in-ring promo by the IKonics, and you watch everybody in the background. They have the most dumbfounded, non-interested, we paid our money for this shit look on their face. It was bad. It was cringeworthy, actually, man. The IKonics are better than that, too. They could have cut in a better promo, I feel. I don't know if that's what writing gave them. And the IKonics were like, all right, we'll try to turn gold out of from shit. And it wasn't possible. Not with that crowd. And not with that material. So the IKonics promo fell flat on its face. Then Becky Lynch comes out. Luckily, we get to some in-ring competition. Nothing over the top special. It was decent at best. Becky Lynch gets the victory. I believe it was the disarmer. And we can put away that just horrendous shit. Because I don't know where any of that was supposed to go. That whole thing, guys, was to just show that Becky Lynch may have come up short at Money in the Bank for the 2nd year in a row. But she's still straight fire. And she can win matches. That's all that was for. And all it really did was push the IKonics further into obscurity because you gave her a shit promo to go out and cut. So sure enough, they went out and cut a shit promo. And then they put on another losing contest by Billie Kay losing against Becky Lynch. So they lose again. So the IKonics are nothing more than just enhancement talent. Or what we used to call back in the day, jobbers. Because that's all it looks like to me. Then you go on to... So finally we had a match, but then you go on to the Usos. Now they're cutting a promo inside the ring. Now for the Usos, at least I like hearing them on the mic, right? This new Usos persona with their heel character, they're actually decent on the mic. They work so well off of each other. Like, you can tell a lot of it is bullet pointed and or rehearsed, but you expect them to flub from time to time, you know, butcher it up a little bit. No, man, they flow so good off of each other, and their promos have a fucking meaning and point all the time. And it's a fun way to deliver those meanings and points. Good job, again, by the Usos in their promo. Unfortunately, they were attacked by Sanity. So unfortunately for them. Fortunately for all of us, because we finally see Sanity, right? But I believe this was supposed to be a match. Usos versus Sanity. Instead, it was just Sanity jumping the Usos. And they beat the shit out of them. And the crowd, this is why I can't fully blame the IKonics. The crowd was pretty fucking dead last night. Where were they? Fucking Toledo? Is that what it's called? Toledo? I couldn't even give you the fucking state, guys. Ohio, Idaho, one of those fucking states. Sorry, anybody in Ohio and Idaho and all that, man. I don't know where Toledo is. Maybe it's in fucking Kansas for all I know. Alright, I didn't graduate high school, just so you know. Just said, did you have history class? No, I went back and got my fucking GED because I fucked up when I was younger in life. So, no, I didn't, even if I had history class, I didn't pay attention, motherfucker. I was going to school for all the wrong reasons, man. It was to pick up the chicks and find out where the party was that night. Alright. If you ever seen Dazed and Confused, you know what the fuck I'm talking about. But, so, apologies to Toledo, I believe it was. But you guys were fucking pretty dead last night. If you go back and watch yourselves, you know I'm correct. So Sanity debuts in a crowd that's kind of like probably wondering who the fuck they even are. I don't know if they're really a big NXT crowd. And I think I would have debuted Sanity in front of an NXT enthusiast crowd. I would have debuted Sanity at fucking Money in the Bank in front of Chicago. There's a concept. Or if you held them off for this long, hold them off into a smart crowd. A crowd that's gonna know their NXT most likely, or at least know who Sanity is more than Toledo did. Because that was not good, man. The crowd at home is gonna feed off the crowd in attendance. When we see the crowd dead as fuck, and that casual fan watching at home doesn't really know who Sanity is, and they watch the crowd behind the scenes fucking of the ring, and they're not showing any interest, then that casual fan has no fucking spark at all to go and Google them. Has no spark at all to find out who the fuck they even are. More importantly, has no spark to give a fuck about who Sanity is. I thought that was a lackluster way to bring them out. A, in front of that crowd, and B, just attacking the Usos. In an attack that was not epic at all. At least when the Bludgeon Brothers started off, they were beating the shit out of everybody. I remember when they were beating the shit out of the Usos and the New Day all at the same time in vicious attacks leading up to that triple threat match that they had a couple of pay-per-views ago. Sanity, this long-awaited arrival, they arrive and they just take out the Usos. A couple of, power bombs, this, that, whatever the fuck it was. It was forgettable. And not seeing Nikki Cross with them, there's a huge void there. It's not the same Sanity that I once fucking loved down in NXT. That shit's gotta change. If you're booking Sanity going forward, you better book them correctly. What I do know is if they do book them correctly and build them up to be the Sanity that they fucking should be, and then you got the Bludgeon Brothers on the same brand, once they collide, that could be some fun shit. Speaking of the Bludgeon Brothers last night, they had a match against, who the fuck was it, man? I forgot who the fuck Gallows and Anderson, I believe, right? That was a rematch, because that was the Money in the Bank match as well, but that was put on the pre-show, so I think they threw them a bone and said, you know what? We fucked up. We probably should have put in, what was the match I said that should have been on the pre-show, guys? Fuck, there was another match I would have put there on Money in the Bank. There's probably a couple of matches I would have put there on Money in the Bank on the pre-show, and I feel that Gallows and Anderson and the Bludgeon Brothers should have been on the main show. I apologize, can't think of it now. It wasn't Daniel Bryan and Cass, because I felt that was perfectly spotted. Fuck, man. Elias and Seth Rollins, obviously. Oh, Lashley and Zayn. Sorry, that was going to bug me, guys. We would have been here a full hour while I tried to think about which match it was. Sami Zayn, Bobby Lashley. I wanted that match on the pre-show at Money in the Bank. Gallows and Anderson, Bludgeon Brothers should have been on the main show. So I think WWE knew that, and they had a rematch with them. And they went out there, you could tell, because this match between the Bludgeon Brothers and Gallows and Anderson was 10 times better than their pre-show match. And that was on a pay-per-view. So Gallows and Anderson and even the Bludgeon Brothers, they were kind of pissed off at that. And they're like, yeah, we're not worthy to be on your main show. We'll show you how worthy we are. And for Gallows and Anderson and Bludgeon Brothers, for them to put on a match together and be that good, because that's what it was. It was actually a good match. You got LG up there, right? Fucking Luke Gallows taking bumps. Taking that suplex from the top fucking rope. We don't see it often with Luke Gallows, man. Carl Anderson's flying around the ring. I mean, they tried to put on a show, and they did. So I like that. Bludgeon Brothers, in the end, defeated Gallows and Anderson. I don't think you go anywhere further with Gallows and Anderson. You guys know I'm a fan of Gallows and Anderson, so it sucks to say that. I don't know how much further Gallows and Anderson can go. They just went for the tag straps twice. They were unsuccessful. Before they went for the tag straps, they were basically in, you know the word I like to use, obscurity. I say now, you bring back Tex Ferguson and Chad Too Bad. If you don't know who that is, you Google it, you YouTube it. They're from Southpaw Regional Wrestling. They were supposed to be just a comedy act in a comedy skit for WWE. It was called Southpaw Regional Wrestling. But if you Google and YouTube their characters, they're the most entertaining motherfuckers that we've probably seen in all of WWE in the last 10 fucking years. Gallows as Tex Ferguson cracks me up every fucking time. I believe we've seen them once in WWE. It was like a Halloween-themed event. Because I remember there was like pumpkins all around and shit. I don't know what it was for. But it was a gimmick match that even if people wanted to love them, the gimmick was so stupid because it was Halloween-themed that nobody gave a shit. But if you bring Tex Ferguson and Chad Too Bad to WWE's main roster, and you let them just be Tex Ferguson and Chad Too Bad, they will light that son of a bitch and tag division on fire. Raw and SmackDown teams will not be able to compete. There'll be multi-champion team, fucking, I can speak now, man. I'm all excited to see this shit. There will be a multi-championship winning team going forward. Bring back Tex Ferguson and Chad Too Bad, man. Because it's time for them to flourish. Because Gallows and Anderson, they're all but dead. And that sucks, because I like them. We weren't done with the Bludgeon Brothers, were we, though? Not at all, man. I'll get to that in a minute. But first, I just want to get to Shinsuke Nakamura's backstage interview. And this was as a result of Jeff Hardy. He had a backstage interview. Not really an interview. It was just fucking pitch black. And Hardy is facing forward, so you're just seeing the back of his head. And Jeff Hardy is talking about how... basically, he's been woken. He didn't say woken. He's not part of this woken universe as of right now. He's not Brother Nero. But he's talking about how his eyes are wide open because he started talking a bunch of mumbo jumbo. He turns around, and it's back to the old school Jeff Hardy where his whole face is painted like real, like, demonic. You know what I mean? It's like a real freaky kind of face paint. His eyes are closed, and then when he opens them, he's got these crazy contacts in. And he goes, now my eyes are wide open to Shinsuke Nakamura. So he's basically giving off a message to Shinsuke. I don't know if that's if you ever fuck with me again, I'm coming for you, or no, you already kicked me in the head last week, so I'm coming for you anyway. You don't have to get me again, I'm coming. I don't know which it was, but it was a message to Shinsuke. So backstage, Renee Young is talking to Shinsuke Nakamura. And this is just classic Shinsuke, man, because Renee Young, this is why Shinsuke is so fucking good as a heel. Renee Young asks him about AJ Styles in their pay-per-view match at Money in the Bank. And this is an actual quote from Shinsuke. He says, "The only reason AJ beats me is because the referee counted very fast. And it wasn't in Japanese. Not fair." So the referee counted 3 too fast, and it wasn't even in Japanese. So it's not fair. I love that. So Renee Young says, "Well, what about Jeff Hardy?" And Shin says, "Who?" So Renee says, "Jeff Hardy." And Shinsuke says, "Okay, no need to yell." How awesome is that? Jeff Hardy, okay, no need to yell. Shinsuke is so fucking great as a heel, man. I never in a million years, I knew he could pull it off, but never in a million years would I think Shinsuke is this fucking good, this methodical at being a heel. Fucking A, take my money every time he's on a marquee match at a pay-per-view, because that son of a bitch will attempt to steal the show and most likely will. Shinsuke as a heel is the way to go. Now, this is a consolation feud and prize for Shinsuke. We'll give him a multi-try attempt at the heavyweight championship with AJ. He's never going to get it once. And then when it's all said and done to bump up AJ, we'll put him in the IC strap feud with Jeff Hardy. And maybe we'll give him that. So, I like this in one way. Think about this, guys. Jeff Hardy versus Shinsuke Nakamura. Fuck yes. That's a match that intrigues me. So we get to see that down the road. That's going to be fun as fuck. Maybe we'll see it a couple of times. Jeff Hardy, Shinsuke, that is something that intrigues me. But I can't help but think this is a consolation prize for Shinsuke. He wins the Royal Rumble. We all think he's going to capture that championship, be the first ever Japanese wrestler to capture that heavyweight championship. And he just gets strung along for 4 months. And then they're like, we'll put the IC strap on him. You're not good enough for the heavyweight, but we'll throw the IC strap on you. You know, I can't help but feel this is a consolation. But it still is going to be really cool if they allow Shinsuke to defeat Jeff Hardy and to see Shinsuke with the IC championship, man. That's still really fucking cool. So it's going to be really neat to see where they go from there. I can't help but feel Was Big Cass supposed to be in that role? Was Big Cass supposed to be catapulted to the IC strap? Or was this supposed to be just the demotion, the consolation prize all along for Shinsuke? Who knows, man? But, that's definitely intriguing as fuck. Jeff Hardy versus Shinsuke. Also a take my money type scenario, man, because that's a matchup that I can't wait to actually see. I hope it's not overly gimmick. If it's supposed to be for Extreme Rules, I hope it's not a gimmick that takes away from the talent that they both have. Because that up front should just be a match, one-on-one, no gimmicks. They're probably going to have a gimmick for Extreme Rules, though. What am I missing before I get to the main event, guys? We already went over Carmella, the IKonics. We went over the Usos and Sanity. Shinsuke and Jeff Hardy and Renee Young. Gallows and Anderson and the Bludgeon Brothers. I guess we'll get right to the gauntlet match because, again, nothing else really was of news or was a newsworthy topic. So the gauntlet match, phenomenal. Stole the show, was the bulk of the show. Over a half an hour, over 35 minutes, I believe. And it started out with Daniel Bryan. And as he's coming to the ring, the Bludgeon Brothers are going back from their match with Gallows and Anderson. So there's this weird moment where Daniel Bryan's music stops halfway down the ramp. And he's in the middle of both Bludgeon Brothers, Luke Harper and Eric Rowan, both staring him down. And Daniel Bryan starts to bow up a little. You see him clenching his fist. He's getting a little hot, but then his music plays again. Out of nowhere, Daniel Bryan's music plays again. So Daniel Bryan's like, okay, that's my cue. I'm going to leave good enough alone. And he starts yesing his way to the ring. So this evidently pissed off Harper and Rowan, because later they would show up and cost Daniel Bryan this match. And that's a shame, because Daniel Bryan was owning this motherfucker. It started off with Daniel Bryan and Big E. And I've said this from day one. If you separate Big E from this New Day, Big E will fucking shine. He will not disappoint you. Big E is phenomenal in that ring. For a big dude, he can fly, he can get technical, he can do everything you can do, he can do too. He's that type of superstar. Big E can go in that ring. They just never give him the time of day. He's stuck in New Day. And yes, I say stuck because while we all love New Day, right? They're fun, they're entertaining. They're kind of getting hindered. Because Xavier is also really good in that ring. But there comes a lot of times where there's only 2 participants allowed. You don't get to see Xavier all the time. Or you don't get to see Big E all the time. Kofi I can see in that role because Kofi had years before Xavier and Big E really got any chance. Or joined the New Day. Kofi was already doing his thing. He was already a multi-time fucking Intercontinental Champion. So he can just rest the rest of his career in New Day. He's fine. Get that merch money. Have fun. It's working. But Big E could actually be a singles champion. He's just kind of like held down in that New Day gig. I want to see him either turn heel or just separate and go for some gold on his own. Because that was a really good match. Daniel Bryan versus fucking Big E last night. And it ended, of course, with Daniel Bryan putting that knee right to the side of the dome piece of Big E. 1, 2, 3. Daniel Bryan defeats Big E. Now, how would you like to have that match against Big E? You just beat Big E, and then Samoa Joe's music hits. And now you know you gotta now face Samoa Joe, because that's what happened to Daniel Bryan. The second he beat Big E, here comes Samoa fucking Joe. We cut to commercial at home. There was no commercial for Daniel Bryan. He probably got jumped the second Samoa Joe got in the ring, or the second the referee rang that bell. So now Daniel Bryan has to take on Samoa Joe. And this is another fierce fucking match, guys. The shots that these are 2 motherfuckers that know what it's like on those independents and smaller promotions. They know. We know they could put on a good show, and they know they're gonna put on a great fucking show. And that's what they did, man. It's Samoa Joe, it's Daniel Bryan. It's everything we thought it was gonna be, and we know they got even more that they can do. So I wouldn't mind seeing that at a pay-per-view still. I want to see a lot more from Joe and Daniel Bryan because they left a lot more in that tank. But the shots they were giving each other, the chops, dozens of chops, Samoa Joe's chest, on that motherfucker, all red on Samoa Joe, man, from those chops. But it was Daniel Bryan's chest. What does fucking Corey Graves say to Daniel Bryan last night? Something like, it looks like fucking butchered meat or some shit. And that's what it looked like. Daniel Bryan's chest just looked fucking disgusting. That's how hard these chops from Samoa Joe were. And Daniel Bryan was laying them back to Samoa Joe just as fucking hard. The kicks, stiff as fuck. And you could tell they both loved it. Before their match, they probably said, let's go stiff out there. Because they were fucking stiff. And when it was all done, Daniel Bryan defeated Samoa Joe. Now, this had to be done outside via countout. But still, he beat him. And you had Samoa Joe, he had his fucking lock on Daniel Bryan on the outside, but he sees the referee counting, so he's like, shit, when do I throw Daniel Bryan down last second and run into the ring? I gotta time this perfectly. But it's Daniel Bryan who's able to use the barricade as like a catapult. He just kind of catapults himself backwards onto Samoa Joe on the outside mat, and he runs into the ring. So Samoa Joe can't make the 10 count. Daniel Bryan somehow squeaks by Samoa Joe. So in the matter of less than a half an hour, well less than a half an hour, Samoa Joe defeats Daniel Bryan defeats both Big E and Samoa Joe. Big E via pinfall and count out to Samoa Joe. So Daniel Bryan's going on to his third competitor. There's only 2 left at this point. There's The Miz and there's Rusev. And before he has the opportunity to take on The Miz, because for some reason, Vince McMahon has been keeping The Miz and Daniel Bryan away from each other. And we know that was the hot feud, not just storyline, but in real life. Daniel Bryan there's no love lost between him and The Miz. And when The Miz was drafted over to SmackDown, Daniel Bryan left that tweet, can't wait to punch him in his face. But they kept them off. I don't know if Vince McMahon is waiting for a huge pay-per-view match and a real hyped storyline between the two in the future. But he does not want them going at it. And last night was no different. He did not want Daniel Bryan in the ring wrestling The Miz. So he used the Bludgeon Brothers as the reason why they're not going to wrestle. And the Bludgeon Brothers from earlier in the night, remember I told you guys when Daniel Bryan was coming down, Bludgeon Brothers were walking back and they had a stare down. Apparently that did piss off the Bludgeon Brothers because they get in the ring after Daniel Bryan defeats Samoa Joe and they give him a devastating double power bomb. Both men, Rowan and Harper, velocity, man. Daniel Bryan bounces off of the canvas and this brings out The Miz. The Miz picks up the whatever left over, skull-crushing finale to Daniel Bryan, 1, 2, 3. The Miz picks up an easy victory over Daniel Bryan thanks to the Bludgeon Brothers. So again, no wrestling between the two. This was just pick 'em up, skull-crushing finale from the Bludgeon Brothers. 1, 2, 3, Miz moves on. And Daniel Bryan rolls out of the ring. So again, no wrestling between the two. I know Vince has something huge planned for these two. We just don't know when it's going to be. If it's going to be for a title, is the title going to be on the line at that point? You know, does Daniel Bryan defeat AJ Styles, which many are speculating at SummerSlam? Daniel Bryan gets the championship. And Vince McMahon gives Miz this huge championship push at WrestleMania 35. Bryan versus Miz. It's possible, man. These are just rumblings that we're hearing in the wrestling community, and it would make sense because Vince does have something long-term planned for The Miz and Daniel Bryan. Moving on, guys. I just want to put that as a side note. Now we go on to the final match in the gauntlet match. This brings out Rusev. And Rusev versus The Miz happens. I'm really thinking it's going to be Miz here, right? Makes sense. Miz versus AJ Styles. No, they go fucking Rusev. Rusev does a devastating Mashka kick right into the Accolade. Almost immediately, Miz starts tapping the fuck out. Rusev is going on to Extreme Rules to take on AJ Styles. This is one of those things where I feel some type of way because from day one, if you guys have been with me from day one on this channel, I've said that Rusev is the most underutilized talent, the most overlooked talent, the talent that just never gets the time of day. He just never gets any proper booking. They just either they can't stand him or they don't see talent in him, but it's fucking bullshit. Rusev deserves so much more in this business. I said that from day one. I'm a huge supporter of Rusev. I am not a supporter of Rusev Day. I think this Rusev Day gimmick is cheesy as fuck. I think Aiden English is cheesy as fuck. I think his rapping is so cringeworthy it makes me honestly want to flip the fucking channel even though I don't. You know what I mean? His rapping is just fucking horrendous. I saw a cat. He sat on top of someone's hat. But that's okay, because I don't know if he paid the whole pay that hat was to be paid. But again, it's okay, because it's Rusev Day. That's not entertaining, man. If that, like, flips out the crowd, oh, that was awesome. He did the Rusev Day rap. And then it's Rusev Day. If that excites you, great. At least Rusev is getting these opportunities then. That's all I'll say. So for diehard Rusev Day fans, that's great for you. I'm the man behind the character. So I'm glad he's getting this opportunity. But storyline-wise, I don't know if I wanted to see him against AJ Styles at Extreme Rules, given the booking that he's had the past fucking several months with Rusev Day. He starts getting really big at Rusev Day, then they turn him heel, the momentum kind of drags down, and now all of a sudden they're throwing him into a title picture because they know they just need a filler, because that's all this is. AJ Styles is obviously going to win this, right? Or are they really going to put the strap on Rusev Day? This whole title reign was to put the strap on fucking Rusev? I doubt that very much, unless Vince McMahon has one of those McMahon moments before the pay-per-view at Extreme Rules and just says, you know what, fuck it, scrap my plans, put the strap on him. That could happen. McMahon's getting older, man, and a little more out there as the days go by. But I'm a fan of the man behind the character. The character Rusev Day I'm not a fan of, but at least Rusev gets his first ever championship opportunity ever, and that's a shame to say because he should have had many. I just don't know if I want to see him actually take the strap off of AJ fucking Styles. And I'll be honest with you guys, I would have much rather see Daniel Bryan versus AJ Styles. I wanted to see Samoa Joe versus AJ Styles. Rusev and Styles, I have to see where they go with the story. But again, I'm at least glad that he, the man, gets the opportunity. And the character, I guess, man. Now I'm going to be oversaturated with Aiden fucking English. Fuck! But, Rusev, man, AJ Styles came out after that match. He laid down the championship and he held out his hand. And Rusev and him held hands. They're not going to prom together. They didn't hold hands. They shook hands. And then Aiden English got jealous and he went over to shake AJ Styles' hand. He holds out his hand. AJ Styles goes to shake it, and Aiden English does one of those psychs. He puts his hands up like, no, you ain't touching my hand. And AJ's like, all right. Boom! Knocks Aiden English right to the ground with a punch to the side of the dome piece. And Rusev's like, the fuck are you doing to Aiden English? Like, what are you... Rusev didn't even bother coming to his aid or trying to attack AJ for Aiden. Rusev instead is like, what the fuck are you doing, you clown? And AJ Styles is just like, I don't care about him. It's me and you now at Extreme Rules. We fade to black, SmackDown goes off the air. So, monumental news, guys. At the rules that are extreme, as Matt Hardy would say, Woken Hardy. At the Extreme Rules pay-per-view, you're going to get Rusev going for the championship strap against AJ Styles. Again, I'm all for it. You know what I mean? I get to see Rusev get his first ever title opportunity, man. I would have put other people in that position right now because of the way Rusev was booked. But, hey, man, beggars can't be choosers. We finally got Rusev in that position. I just don't feel he's the one to take the strap off of him, though. So this is going to suck if all this is just for Rusev to lose, and then what? Does he get pushed out into obscurity again? Or do they give him the time of day and keep his booking up? And hopefully down the road, just get rid of Aiden English, man. Fuck. How long can we go on with this stupid rap and Rusev Day, and that's it, man. Rusev doesn't need him. Rusev is good on his own. That's my gripe with this whole thing, guys. If you love it, that is awesome. I'm just saying, and for my taste, I'm not a fan of the Rusev Day gimmick, but I am a fan of Rusev, if that makes sense. So I'll shut up about it now. I went on too long with that. That was SmackDown, guys. A weird show for me. Not one of their best, but then when the gauntlet match hit, that shit turned up to fucking high volume times 10, man. The high octane, high velocity. It was fast, it was furious, and it was awesome entertainment. Gauntlet match, man. That's where it's at. With Daniel Bryan having multiple matches in one night, sign me up, man. I ain't flipping the channel. I'm fucking on that shit. We got to see Daniel Bryan in several matches last night. Would have been a third, the damn Bludgeon Brothers. It's funny. Going forward, does Daniel Bryan try to get revenge on the Bludgeon Brothers? That'd be funny. Who does he pick as a tag team partner? Kind of interesting, right? I kind of see that. I would like to see Daniel Bryan pick a... I got some people in mind too, man. Maybe I'll tell you guys in tomorrow's Q&A video. But I got a couple of people that would be perfect for Daniel Bryan for a tag team partner just for one night, right? The storyline will be for 3 or 4 weeks. And then Extreme Rules, they face off against each other. And then Daniel Bryan goes back to singles. But I got a couple of names. Maybe I'll tell you guys tomorrow. Again, tomorrow is amplified Q&A. That's a chance where I get to talk. What am I doing? I'm doing a Rusev that. I get to communicate with you guys, man. So if you guys have questions for the Amplified Man, leave it obviously on my Twitter at BC Amplified, or you can leave it right down below on this video. But if you have a Q&A question, just say it's for Q&A, and I'll answer it. Hopefully, I can't answer everybody's, but I'll try to get to a lot of your guys' questions tomorrow. Amplified Q&A. A chance for me to interact with you guys. So it's my favorite video of the week. That'll be tomorrow, hopefully sometime in the morning or around noontime, Eastern time. But I'll see you guys tomorrow for that. And that's it. I'm going to shut up and try to rest my voice, man. It's still bothering me from last week's concert. That was a week ago. My voice is still out. I don't know if you guys can tell, but if you can, I apologize. But I'm going to go try to fucking catch this shit. Lots of coffee and ass whippings, man. The Amplified Man, he's cashing the fuck out. Much love and respect to every one of you in the Amplified unit. I'll see you guys tomorrow in tomorrow's Amplified Q&A video. I'm shutting up. We'll check you.